Hello and welcome. What you're looking at here are a pair of vintage bikes. I'm going to say probably mid to late 1980s. I haven't ID'd them yet. More on that later. One of the guiding principles in my life is to whom much is given, from him much is expected. And I say that because I have a certain aptitude for fixing up bikes. Certainly enjoy doing so. And so what I've been doing is taking older bikes, refurbishing them, making them safe and reliable. And through my churches, I say churches because I have switched churches a couple of years ago, I give them to people who have no means of transportation. And this all started some years back at my prior church, and thereby hangs a tale. I won't make it too long. But we were affiliated with a shelter for homeless female veterans. And we got word that a lady and her little guy had to leave their house really quickly one night in order to avoid a violent situation. We were told the little guy only had one toy, his teddy bear. Well, when I heard that, that just about broke my heart. And at that time I had just gotten into bicycles. And I knew where I could lay my hands on a little Huffy, just the right size for this guy. So I went out and I got it, cleaned it up, put a new saddle on it, and got a helmet for him. And I took it over to the shelter a couple of days later, along with a bunch of household goods that we had collected for the shelter at large. And the little guy comes out. This is, oh my gosh. He comes out and he goes, "Do you have something for me?" Well, I said, "I don't know. Are you the guy I heard about that likes bicycles?" And he looks up at me with this combination of hope and skepticism. And in a little guy that young, that is so heartbreaking. He goes, "Yeah." And I said, "Well, in that case," I reached into the back of the truck and pulled out the bike. "This is for you." And he was so happy. He was literally jumping up and down, clapping his hands. "It's mine, it's mine, it's mine." That's when I knew I was onto something. To whom much is given, much is expected. Indeed. So anyway, I'm going to fix these bikes up and put them into the ministry rotation. The white one is a Peugeot. And, yeah, it may not look like much, but the frame is basically sound, and if I've got a good frame, I can do anything. And this bike, this black one, it's unusual. It's carbon fiber for the main triangle. The head tube and the rear triangle are aluminum. There's no branding, so a little bit of a mystery going on there. And again, more on that as we look more closely at these bikes. And speaking of looking more closely at these bikes, let's do so. First up is the white Peugeot. My best guess is that this is a very late 70s or early 80s model. It's a little difficult for me to be sure at this point because the decal, which would tell us what model it actually is torn to shreds. So it's a mystery at the moment. The frame is steel and it's in good solid shape, but cosmetically not so much. The paint is cracked and there's a little bit of surface rust here. So I'm going to take this one down to the bare frame and start over. It has an alloy stem, a steel drop bar, and a steel fork, all pretty much standard fare for bikes of that era. It has a Mavic, M-A-V-A-C, not Mavic, M-A-V-I-C, brake set with drilled levers. The drilled levers suggest to me that there were at least some racing aspirations. It has Simplex friction shifters on the down tube. It has a Simplex front derailleur and a 2x crankset.
Now, I did not count the teeth on the chain rings yet. I'll do that when I start the teardown. The rear derailleur is branded Peugeot, but it's got the Simplex S inside of a sun logo all over it. So, Simplex, I guess, at the end of the day. It's got a 5-speed freewheel, the brand of which I have not yet discovered. The tires and the tubes are just completely toast, not even worth looking at. The wheels are quick release steel, 700C by 25mm. And as you can see, they're a little rusty, but they might be salvageable. I'll clean them and inspect the inside when I take the tires and tubes off for replacement. The brakes are alloy, unbranded single pivots, front and rear. The seat post is alloy, and to my great surprise, it's not frozen. The saddle is Vetta branded, and this rack seems to be pretty solid, so I'm going to try to clean it up a little bit, maybe paint it, because I'm sure the future owner could put a rack to good use. Next up is the carbon fiber mystery bike. The year and the brand of this bike are unknown to me because there is no branding anywhere whatsoever on the frame. The frame is an extra large size based upon a slightly greater than 32-inch step over height. It's got a carbon fiber top tube, seat tube, and down tube, all bonded to an alloy head and a rear triangle. It's got an alloy stem and steel handlebars. Now, the part of the handlebars I can see are imprinted with Made in Italy. So I'm guessing probably Cinelli based upon that and the Cinelli tape. It's got Shimano 105 brake levers and Suntour bar end friction shifters. Whoever bought this bike was serious. It's got a Suntour front derailleur. It's got a Shimano Dura-ace crankset with unbranded 2x chain rings, and I did not count the chain ring teeth on these either. It's got a Suntour rear derailleur, and it's got a 6-speed freewheel. I have not counted the range on it yet, and I can't tell what the branding is just yet. Oddly, the chainstay guard says Shimano 600 Ultegra, but there's no sign of an Ultegra or Shimano 600 component anywhere on the bike. As with the Peugeot, the tires and the tubes, they are just complete goners. They are toast. The wheels are Nash bar, quick release steel, 700C by 25mm with Nash bar hubs. And I kind of wonder if this might be a Nash bar house brand bike. Granted, you can buy wheels from anyone, put them on anything, but that's the closest thing I have to a clue at the moment. The brakes are alloy, unbranded single pivot, front and rear. And the seat post is alloy, and again, to my surprise, not frozen. And the saddle is Specialized. Now, I don't think that this is a Specialized bike because Specialized never hesitated to slap their branding all over their frames. Hey, I'm talking over here. Yeah. So, there you go. Another couple of vintage bikes for the mix. I think I'm going to enjoy fixing these up, especially the Peugeot. You know, I like classic steel bikes. They're just kind of my thing. Although this is the first carbon fiber bike I've actually put hands on. Unfortunately for me, it's way too tall. I mean, I tried standing over the top tube, and without putting too fine a point on it, there was no clearance for the valuables. So I could not jump off this bike in a hurry. And anyways, I've got enough bikes of my own.
And I'm sure this will be a fine ride for somebody who needs a way to get around. If you enjoyed this video, please leave me a thumbs up. It does help the channel. Below left is a link to a playlist for a bunch of vintage bikes. And below right is a link to another video that I think you'll enjoy. And as always, thanks so much for watching. I seriously do appreciate that when you do. Goodbye and have a great day.